When it comes to evaluation, that's such a big part of your job, right? Is evaluating players to bring into this program, specifically quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been around some great ones as we talked about. What are the things that you look for on film for a quarterback to decide if he can play in your system?
Yeah, well, first of all, accuracy, right? There's a huge piece, right? Are they able to complete the ball? They're able to complete balls, that are in different locations of the field. That needs to stick out. The arm talent piece, mechanically, you want to see people that are pretty, fluid in how they're throwing the football. Not that those things can't get corrected or fixed, but you don't want to have to fix a bunch of things when someone shows up on campus. The ability to extend plays, right, with your feet and your athleticism. The throwing component is first, and the athleticism component is added value. There's a minimum bar in each of those areas that we want to hit. It's kind of a spectrum. Those are three things for sure that you want to see on film. And then as you dive and dig deeper into the individual, their understanding, their football acumen, how much do they like the game and enjoy the game. Like I said, we want the quarterbacks that we want to recruit, we want them to be able to play pro football and all of what that entails. And you don't see really at our level that where it's like, oh, we're just going to do this, just throw it up. Like that's not necessarily a thing. So you want to see somebody who has a passion for that strategy part of the game and daily improvement, and then all the character components that you would think of about some of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. The leadership that they had, the competitiveness piece, their ability to relate to their peers and communicate, and those kind of things are all part of the evaluation process.
I want to ask about Drew Allar. Obviously the face of this program right now, and had a great season last year. Also had moments, I'm sure, that you're like, we got to be better in that situation. How has he been this offseason? What's kind of the next step for him that you're working with him on?
So first of all, he embodies exactly the things I just talked about, right? The idea of getting better and improving and having a growth mindset, really, right? Is what we're really discussing. He recognizes, he owns any area that he wants to get better at. You know what I mean? He doesn't get defensive about it, and which I think it really is, it was one of the most important things to want to be a pro. You know what I mean? To get better is you have to be able to look in the mirror and say, here's something I want to improve on. And so he's been a really good player. Well, how do we go from being really good to great? You know what I mean? And so a lot of times that's the margin, right? Right? Improving somebody who's a brand new football player to our program, the things that they have to do to get 1% better are a lot different than Drew. Drew's 1% goals are very detailed and specific versus somebody just getting here. So he's said before the things that he wants to work on. I've been so proud because last offseason he was kind of coming off of a season where he got dinged up, and he'd really get to do it as full. And this is my first spring with him that I get to see him do the whole spring, and he's full speed and he's running around like super athletic, which is huge. It's something I know that he wanted to work on. His ability to process and go through reads and progressions, his way to get us in the right play. It's a superpower of his. His approach mentally to the game is probably the best I've ever been around. Right? And which is pretty special because I've been an offensive coordinator for 20 years now. So it's cool to see him. And when I talked about before, so don't talk about it, be about it. Drew's being about wanting to be a pro. He's being about wanting to be the best quarterback, what I mean, that he can certainly be, which for him, his ceiling, being the best, it should be one of the best in the country. Right? And so I've been so proud of his intentional approach this spring towards wanting to get better.